Realty team leader for the Pierre Realty team. As always, I want to say thank you for watching our videos. I encourage you to follow us online. You can check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. So today I have Jasmine here. She's one of our newest hires here. And Jasmine, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I am the newest hire.
Oh, it's good. We put her on the spot first day and she's already on video. So Jasmine's going to help me out in this video here, though. She's going to ask some of the questions that people have when they're getting ready to look to purchase properties. And I don't know, she'll ask questions and let me go.
Okay, so how long is the home buying process?
All right, so good question. The home buying process can take it could be anywhere from 2 to 3 months to a year process. It kind of just depends on where that new client is coming into it. So what I mean by it can be a 2 to 3 month process is if we've already sent you through the pre-approval process, then we're out there looking for properties. You should generally take about 30 days it may take you to find that property that you're looking for. And then it's generally another 30 to 45 days from that point to closing.
Okay, and what would my credit need to be like?
So, of course, with realtors, we're not the ones who do like your loan officers. They're going to be the ones who tell you exactly what your credit needs to be. But what I tell most people is, rather than me give you the score that's there, right? Everyone can say 520 or 580, 620. There's lots of programs that are kind of out there to address most people's credit. I tell you that you should actually get in touch with a loan officer and then let the loan officer review your credit and see what's there. Let them be the person who qualifies you or disqualifies you versus you disqualifying yourself.
Okay, and what would be the first step of the process itself?
Good question. So the first step I tell most people is, if you already reached out to us as realtors, we like to put you in touch with one of our preferred lenders. That way you can go ahead and they can do the pre-approvals, do the pre-qualifications. And I do that because the market that we're in is, of course, a seller's market. Stuff that's coming on and off of the market really, really quickly. You want to be in a position to, whenever you find that property that you want to make an offer on, you want to make sure you have everything in order. Because you may be in a multiple bid situation where you're competing against lots and lots of other builders, lots and lots of other buyers, and you want to make sure you have your stuff in there. So I definitely think your first step is to get that pre-approval done.
Okay, and picking a location. What if I don't know exactly what location I want to go in?
Great question again. So what I ask most of my clients when they're looking to buy a property is we start with important addresses that are dear to them, right? So if I work in North Houston, I say, well, do you want a short commute or do you want a long commute? Does that bother you? So if they want to be near their job, we take the address of their job and then we look for different neighborhoods that may meet that criteria. If they have family members, maybe it's a mom or a dad or their best friend or aunt, I'd take their address and then we use that as a criteria. But I tell most people, pick some part of town that has a connection to that you want to be able to have easy access to and from, and then we look at areas that meets that criteria from that point.
Okay, and interest. Any interest or how much I would say I would have to bring to the table?
Okay, so I think maybe down payment, right?
Down payment.
Okay,
yes.
So down payment, the way that works, it depends on the loan program that you have. So if you're going to build a custom house, right? Mm-hmm. You should probably factor in that you're going to need about 20% down in order to do that. If you're FHA, you're looking at maybe 3.5% down. On conventional, that number can go from, I've seen programs, especially for doctors, lawyers, and attorneys, where it's 0% down, even on jumbo loans, up to about 5%. But generally, I find most home buyers are going to be bringing somewhere between 3.5% to 5% down, unless they're using one of the 0% down payments.
Okay.
So the way that works, and the way that the down payment is, and when I say that 3.5% or 5%, that's based on whatever that purchase price is. So you're looking at a $200,000 house and you put 5% down, then I figure you're going to bring $10,000 down. And with closing costs, you probably want to factor in about another $3,000 to $5,000. So on a $200,000 house, I would tell you you need to have between $10,000 to $15,000 comfortably to put down on that type of property.
Okay, and if I was gearing towards a new build or a old existing build,
resale.
resale, which would you?
Oh. So it kind of depends on each person, what their personality is, and what you're looking for out of the house. So if you're looking to get a property generally that's in an established neighborhood that's been there for a while, most of the time that means that that's going to be a resale.
Okay.
If you're looking for, I want to be the first person who has ever walked in this house, I'm the first person to ever use that toilet, right? Which I get that statement. I want to be the first person to use that toilet, right? If that's the case, then you probably need a new construction house. Not to say that you will still be the first person to use that toilet, but you definitely got a much better chance of being that first person to use the toilet if you have a new construction. So for me, I tell you, there's pros and cons to both resale as well as new construction, but it really goes to what that person is trying to capture, what their personality is, and what type of house they like. Anything else you could have as an inquiry on new construction, or not new construction, on as being as a new person looking to buy a house?
So I have something on my credit. Should I speak to a loan officer?
Great question. So if you remember earlier, I said don't disqualify yourself, right? Let the professionals review your credit and then let them put the game plan together to how it is that you can accomplish home ownership. Being a homeowner is a big step, right? That's one of the largest investments that anybody will make in their entire life. And it can kind of seem overwhelming. But these are the people who are trained in how to do credit repair, how to fix it. They know what's important, what's not important. I had a person once who said they wanted to buy a property. And I said, hey, let's look at it. It took them a year before we came back, and they finally talked them into talking to a loan officer. And it turned out the whole thing that was keeping them from purchasing a property was an old Macy's card that had went to collections for $20 8 years ago. It wasn't even on their credit. So what a lot of times we think we know, but we don't know. There's a reason why those real estate agents, why the loan officers are the professionals, is because they know what it takes and allow them to, I say, make them earn their money, right? Let them do the job to get you to help you achieve your ultimate goal.
So I can go to a loan officer prior to even wanting to purchase a home?
Yes. We actually do get a lot of people who come that way. Yes. You can definitely talk to a loan officer, get pre-approved, and start that process. That way you already have an idea of how much you qualify for. That way we're not showing you a $3 million house and the loan officer says you're qualified for $275, or vice versa. You think, hey, I'm only qualified for $100,000. You can't find anything for $100,000, but the loan officer says, well, you easily qualify for $250, and now you're able to acquire the property that you really want to have. And actually made me think of something else. A lot of times people ask me, well, this house is $250, this house is $220. Which one should I buy? And I say, which one fits your needs? If the $250 house has 90%, right? Because you're not going to find anything that has 100% of what you want into it, but it has 90% of all the things that you want, but it's $250. And that other house is $220, but it only has 40% of the things that you want in it. Why would you want to spend $230,000 or $220,000 and settle versus spending another $30,000 and getting what you want? At the end of the day, that monthly payment is not going to change that drastically between a $220 and a $250. But you are the one who has to make that payment at the end of the day. And every month, I don't know about you, but I would much rather be walking into something that I want that I'm spending $250,000 for versus walking into something I don't like that I spend $220,000 for. So I tell people, get what you want. And the price matters, but get what you want. So I would tell you 100%, spend the extra $30,000 or get the loan for an extra $30,000 and get what you want versus settling for a cheaper product.
Okay, and so what qualifications do they look at once for the pre-approval?
Okay, so most of the time as a seller's agent, I'm looking to see on a pre-approval letter, has that lender at a minimum reviewed credit? Have they looked at down payment sources? And then have they verified income? Now, I look for, those are some of the basic things that they're going to look at. The biggest part of that really is going to be your credit, and then making sure you have, and then sourcing those type of funds. that is necessary in order to close the product or on the property.
So once I get that pre-approval, that means I'm approved for the home?
No. So what that pre-approval letter is they've done the basic information that you need they did the basic things they need to get you pre-approved.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't mean you're approved for that home. And because they still may need to do full verification, right? They may not have reviewed your tax returns as of yet. They may not have looked at bank statements, but that's going to be part of the full approval process. And the other part of that is there's actually two steps when you're buying a property that the lender is looking at. One is the pre-approval of the person, and the other is the property approval. So property approval comes after you found a property. The lender sends out an appraiser, and he has an appraisal to make sure that the value that you want to pay for the property is in line with the value they want to loan on a property. So property approval is a second part of that step in the overall approval process. So once they qualified you fully, they qualify the property, they send it to underwriting, and that's when they make the final commitment. We call that the clear to close. Once we get that clear to close, that pretty much tells everybody in the transaction we're ready to get their closing. Now, until you sign the documents and the money has come, we ain't closed.
Okay, and I was looking at getting a new car, making some type of new big purchase. Do you recommend that, or should I wait until after I get my home?
So I say you got to kind of make a choice, right? Mm-hmm. Again, when you do a pre-approval, a big part of that is them evaluating what is on your credit. Mm-hmm. So anything you add to your credit plays a factor in whether or not you will qualify for a loan. One of the biggest key factors when they're looking at credit is they're trying to assess how much debt do you have versus how much income you have. They call that your DTI, your debt to income ratio. So if you go out and buy a new car, that new car that you're buying could be the difference of whether or not you qualify for that $220,000 house or that $250,000 house. Because now they're going to add that car payment to your debt. And then they're going to see, do you now qualify or you still qualify for that house? So if you want to buy a property, as long as your car is working, I say keep the car you got. What I'll tell you is this. Ford, Toyota, the rest of them, while they may look at your credit, they're not paying that close attention to see what all your expenses are versus that. So you will be more likely than not, you can still buy that car after you purchase the house versus the other direction. All right. Well, everybody, I hope that this was some valuable information. As always, I ask that you all send any questions, any comments you have to us. Click the follow button, click the like button, message us. Until the next time, check our websites at thepierreperryrealtyteam.com. And thank y'all again for watching.
Bye.
Bye.